Dead by Daylight, a game that's loved and hated by its community and also by all the fans of the franchises it managed to get royalties for. As a brand new player of 40 hours and counting, the game isn't half bad, and no, this isn't a trick-or-treat joke, it's just got a high skill ceiling. If you're running out of Halloween scares for the year, just hop onto any Resident Evil video and tell the Resident Evil fans that Wesker is actually cool in Dead by Daylight and that Behavior Entertainment hasn't butchered him to hell and back and called him the mastermind. Extra points if you mention Chris and Generator in the exact same sentence, and I will guarantee this will cause them to melt down faster than Wesker in the volcano at the end of Resident Evil 5. Anyway, if you haven't seen this game before, the game's an asymmetrical horror game where 4 people known as survivors, all dressed in the weirdest clothing, get tossed into a closed space against a variety of weapon-wielding psychopaths from Killer Clowns to Jimin from BTS to the Armored Titan from Attack on Titan. As a survivor, you have no way of fighting back at all, so you have to repair these 5 generators that are magically connected to 2 exits that open when all 5 are repaired, make like a scorpion and get out of there. Playing as a killer is probably your first instinct if you seriously don't want to be chased by someone and want to do some of the chasing yourself, which is exactly what I did. The gameplay of a killer is pretty simple. You get to chase people down to the ends of the earth, hook them up like a fresh catch from a fishing trip and send them to the tentacle monster in the sky, which actually steals horror movie franchise villains from the timeline and simply watches you and the survivors for their pure entertainment. Which is actually totally canon, by the way, go read the wiki. The first thing I actually got from this game was the Resident Evil DLC, and sure enough, I've seen enough hentai to know where this is going. Wesker is an extremely good character to play at the very beginning because he is fast as his special ability is Weskin TIme, where he flies forwards and wesks everyone in front of him. Truly a Resident Evil moment in gaming. Jokes aside, he grabs them and tosses them across the room like a sack of potatoes, or if you hit a wall, it results in the legendary Kabedon, where they get injured or collapse from a sheer power of Wesker's rom-com anime wall slam. Exploit Nemesis's eruption skill and you're basically an absolute monster with generators constantly regressing and wasting everybody's time. On the flip side, playing as a survivor is a good way to shorten your lifespan by a few years when you end up against all the Ghostface players in the game, or against one of the original killers like Nurse or Trapper who look like they came out of a swamp or something, which they did. When the killer gets close, it means it's time to run away or hide behind a rock like the pioneers rode for miles on. The heartbeat noise will get louder as they get close to you, and sometimes the theme music starts playing as well. And you are going to want that head start because you are really slow compared to the killers and they will basically chase you down to the ends of the earth till you die. Unless they play as Ghostface, which is absolute bullshit. You can barely see him, he's able to make himself undetectable so you don't hear the heartbeat noises whenever he gets close, and he's able to crouch. I actually mistook him for an ally once, only to realize my ally wasn't wearing black and you vaguely remember them all having neon blue hair or something. Which isn't totally going to be visible from 10 miles away, am I right? Speaking about hair, this brings us to our sponsor. Just kidding. We don't have a sponsor. Trick or treat, guys. With the number of weird crossovers that we've been having though, killers have become a lot less scary than they used to be. If you literally think that getting chased by the Armored Titan, a K-pop idol, or by a guy in sunglasses and a trench coat is scary, then I need to rethink my killer choices because I've been playing the least scary ones that I can think of, so as to not cause immediate cardiac arrest whenever a mangled nightmare of a creature comes crawling out of some asshole from the ground of the earth to greet you while repairing a magical car engine. And believe me, I shat absolute fucking bricks the moment I saw this shit. If you do end up the last person standing because you either abandoned all your friends or your entire team returned to the space hentai monster in the sky, it is time to go hunt for the hatch. Now, this is the hatch. The hatch spawns when the exits open or when you are the last man standing. Find it and you get a free escape. And if the killer finds it, the entire place will start falling apart and you need to go for the door, which is a 50-50 chance of getting absolutely wrecked or simply escaping by the skin of your nutsack. Sometimes if you are lucky, you do get to vibe with the killer who tosses you a free win and ignores the space octopus who hungers for survivor booty. If you do decide to main Ghostface though, I wouldn't be surprised if you went the full 9 yards and played Sadako as well to cause everyone to shit themselves so hard that they give up the game entirely. At the very least though, you can counter Ghostface, but you cannot counter the laxative effect of Sadako crawling out of a TV right next to you while you're trying to repair a generator. And now comes the large number of currencies that you will get very confused with. Blood points are for you to upgrade your characters for perks and for things to hold in your right hand so as to keep it occupied or something along those lines. I tried to make a dick joke but I can't think of anything, I'm sorry. If you use a flashlight, prepare to be immediately targeted and killed first. The sound of that thing causes 99% levels of stress in all killers and will guarantee you will get absolutely tunneled by the killer. Auric cells are paid currency for the whales, and iridescent shards are for buying perks for characters you own and don't own from the Shrine of Secrets, and for buying new characters that aren't copyrighted. You can use Auric cells to buy new characters as well, including the copyrighted ones. Don't worry too much about builds in your early days and just build with the base perks until you've prestiged a few characters to actually share the perks. Unlike Overwatch 2, behavior is still somehow kept day by daylight, a free-to-play game past the mountains and mountains of DLC that you see on their front page. You'd sometimes feel hard-pressed to spend some Auric V-Bucks to get more characters because they only give you a grand total of 5 characters to start with. This is like 5 out of 20 plus characters in the roster, and the base killers are pretty mid in the early game until you get used to them. If you really want to try all the killers though, I'd suggest the killer pack, and even if you don't like some of the killers, their perks will always remain open to you once you play enough and prestige them once. Of course, you can earn killers through in-game progression, but this allows you to save those points for perks from the Shrine of Secrets instead. So yes, the killer pack is definitely good to spice the game up if you're bored of maining one character, and I'd recommend it even if I only play a total of 3 out of the 11 characters on the list. And of course, once you play enough, you'll definitely have all of their perks at your disposal, which will be absolutely insane. From what I can tell, a good survivor just needs the right perks to get enough information on the killer's whereabouts, so I wouldn't go for the survivor pack. If you get found by the killer and don't know any techniques to bamboozle them harder than Mirage and Apex, you're usually screwed either way no matter what perks you have. The base survivors are actually pretty decent with the base perks, and I literally started with this base guy that I dressed up as a budget carry Eurodyne solely for the memes with my own story where he just wants to prove to Johnny Silverhand that he's no pussy and never fades away even when getting his ass handed to him by a knife-wielding psychopath. Fun fact, the game also has a visual novel spin-off as well, and judging by the Steam reviews, the entire community is thirsty for every single one of the killers, including the dudes. To be seriously honest, I haven't played the game yet, but from what I can tell from the Steam reviews, Trapper is best girl. From my experience of playing the game for a month, you'll eventually find your own footing as far as what perks you prefer, whether it be gathering information or enjoying Spirit's feat in the visual novel. This game is going to be frustrating, and you just gotta keep earning blood points even if you get horribly wrecked by a high level killer or by survivors that are secretly part of SEAL Team 6. Someday you'll bump into them and you will eventually have your revenge. Maybe. The learning curve is fairly high, and I guarantee you'll die a lot in your initial days as a survivor and let everyone escape as a killer despite the fact you were being 100% serious.
Emotional, damn it!
It does get better with time as you get higher levels and more perks. I definitely recommend the game if you are an absolute sadomasochist who enjoys getting bullied by survivors as a killer, absolutely destroying survivors to the point where they disconnect, or running away from the horror movie villain all the time. It's a serious love-hate relationship that depends on the players you end up against, and it's extremely skill-based. Some killers will annoy you to no end, and some survivors will absolutely devastate you to the point where you pull out your Mori in the next game and start absolutely wiping out the survivors with zero mercy. Last but not least comes a bit of Etiquette. It's an online game, and even the killer looks like the spawn of an avocado, and an uglier avocado, there's someone on the other side of the screen. If you're the type of survivor who teabags at the gate, I assure you, someday someone will come back and close the hatch on you after carrying you right to it. If you're a killer, don't set up a tent and marshmallows next to a hooked survivor. Slashing at them does nothing to speed the progression of the sky tentacles, and you will give everyone else a chance to finish the generators and escape. Which kinda sucks for you, and sucks for whoever's on the hook. The simplest way to play killer is 3 strikes and they are out. Hook a survivor twice, then send them to Dojin territory, and then try to prevent the last man standing situation, so that the hatch doesn't show up. As a survivor, just hope the clap of your allies' ass cheeks don't alert the killer and stay hidden yourself. And that just basically about sums up all the essentials of Dead by Daylight from a newbie's perspective. Hopefully just in time for Halloween, but as always, do stay safe, stay spooky, and brush your teeth after all the Halloween candy. This is the end of the night, and if you do play the game, I might just be the armored titan bashing through the wall. Also, like and subscribe if you do like this type of content. See ya.